We start, though, with the Trump indictment. We now know it includes 37 counts of mishandling classified documents against the former president.
Prosecutors allege he kept classified documents in several locations in Mar-a-Lago. Here are some of the pictures included in the indictment. Prosecutors claim the boxes were put in a bathroom, shower, ballroom, storeroom, and bedroom, among other places. The indictment also includes charges of obstruction of justice.
CBS 2's Natalie Brand is live in our nation's capital now with those breaking developments. Natalie.
And Erica, Jim, prosecutors in this indictment detail what was in some of those documents, including information regarding U.S. nuclear programs and defense and weapons capabilities. And prosecutors allege that Trump not only possessed and mishandled classified information, but also shared some of it with others.
The Department of Justice has unsealed the 49-page indictment issued by a federal grand jury in Miami against former President Donald Trump.
We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone. Applying those laws, collecting facts, that's what determines the outcome of an investigation. Nothing more and nothing less.
Special counsel Jack Smith detailed the charges, which include unlawful retention of national defense information, obstruction, conspiracy, and false statements. Prosecutors say Trump shared a highly sensitive Pentagon plan of attack to visitors at his golf club in New Jersey and was recorded on tape admitting it had not been declassified.
Our laws that protect national defense information are critical to the safety and security of the United States, and they must be enforced.
The criminal case against the former president stems from the 15-month effort by the federal government to retrieve records he had at his Mar-a-Lago estate.
During a search of the property last August, federal investigators seized more than 300 records, including classified documents and some marked top secret.
We've never seen anything quite like this.
David Weinstein is a former federal prosecutor in the Southern District of Florida.
When it gets set for trial, it's not really that complicated. It's about documents that were possessed, and there will be legal arguments concerning whether or not he had the power to possess them, whether he had the power to declassify them, and those are arguments that will be made before the trial gets started.
Trump calls the case the boxes hoax. His first court appearance is scheduled for Tuesday in Miami.
They come after me because now we're leading in the polls again by a lot, against Biden and against the Republicans by a lot.
The case will play out as GOP presidential primary season heats up, with Trump already fundraising off the indictment.
And the indictment also names Trump aide Walt Nauta as a co-conspirator in this case. He's a former White House military valet. Prosecutors allege that he helped to obstruct the investigation and made false statements during an FBI investigation, according to this indictment. Meanwhile, the special counsel says he will seek a speedy trial, not just because of the public interest in this historic case, but also the rights of the accused. Jim and Erica.
All right, Natalie Brand live for us in the Capitol. Thank you.
Joining us now is CBS 2 legal analyst Irv Miller. Irv, this is an unprecedented indictment. What jumps out at you about the case against the former president?
Well, this indictment is something else. As a former prosecutor, I actually drafted hundreds of indictments. As a defense attorney, I defended against hundreds of indictments. The specificity of this indictment, the corroboration that's in this indictment, the fact that there are witnesses, there's tapes, there's text messages, there are his own lawyers being quoted in this indictment saying things against him that actually hurt him and contributed to the strength of this indictment against him.
Irv, let's talk about the judge here, a Trump appointee. So when it comes to the prosecution, what potential do they have to get her removed from this case, if any? And what's the significance of the judge when it comes to sentencing? Well, here's the thing. Apparently the judge that assigned this case is the same judge that presided over the earlier situation with the search warrant and ordered the special master appointed. That got reversed by the higher court, the appellate court. But she's an appointee of Donald Trump. And it's my personal and professional opinion that any judge that President Trump appointed as president
should recuse themselves, should not be sitting in judgment on him. And unfortunately, the prosecution has very little say in it. They could ask the judge to recuse herself, but if she says no, I could be fair to both sides. I'm keeping the case. That's pretty much the end of that discussion.
Irv, how soon might this go to trial?
You know, the special prosecutor today said that he wants to have a speedy trial. Unfortunately, that's not his call. A lot has to do with the judge's docket, how many other cases are set for trial. It has to do with how long it's going to take the defense to get familiarized with the case. And it's my understanding we now have new lawyers on the case as of yesterday and today that aren't up to speed on the case. So there's a lot of external factors to decide whether or not this is a speedy trial. The bottom line is, will it be tried before or after that 2024 election?
All right, CBS 2 legal analyst Irv Miller, thank you.
When more news breaks in the Trump indictment, you'll see it right away on our streaming service, CBS News Chicago. Find us on the News and Opinion page on Pluto TV and through the CBS News app on Fire TV and Roku.